All right. What's up, P? How's your week?
Really good. Just you always have to be cautious around the Fed events, particularly the ones that happen during the day, because the stuff that announces like the data drops pre-market, like inflation. You can sometimes catch a trend day, and the market will just pick a direction. But FOMC gets wild,
Yeah.
so I had to be a little careful about that. I had an overall like bearish idea there that panned out, and I sort of go after what I see as the stocks with the most weakness. This is not an environment where you just say, okay, I'll pick any tech stock and it'll be fine, because semiconductors actually are pretty strong right now. So it was those software as a service stocks, and then always Tesla. So if I'm bearish, I kind of look there, or just the Qs. So had more puts than usual. Did have some good upside from a number of the hot list stocks that we'll get into, and I think we got some more there. Really seeing a lot of strength out of precious metals. So we'll get into that. But yeah, good week for me.
Nice. I don't have a lot. That's this. I mean, you just brought it to my attention. I didn't have a ton this week because there's so much stuff I like on the hot list, which I love. I love that. Um, Last week, pretty good week for me, just staying inside the box. I've had the bias of Monday, Tuesday being better than Thursday, Friday. Stuck with that. With the feds this week talking. I got rinsed on Wednesday though. I was trying to play the Fed talk and
Mhm.
got in as it all started going up. Get my orders in. I got in three or four positions, and by the time I go back to move stop losses around, they're just getting hit on the original stop loss. It was pretty
Do you,
much an up
do
and
you
down situation. So go ahead.
do you know why that dropped so fast?
Okay,
Like,
so when the news dropped, everyone was like, "Yay, this is what we thought," right? And
yeah,
then he comes out talking sideways out of basically, I got more tools. This might not be enough, but we're in a good spot. And it was just really wishy washy on what side he was leaning. Kind of spoke off the cuff a lot, and the
yeah,
market did not like that. So it was
yeah. That
it
was
was
exactly it.
it was the report being told, and then Powell coming out and just fucking talking like he was at the bar. In my
Yeah,
opinion, I mean,
exactly.
in my
Yeah,
opinion, that's what I seen.
that was it. That like someone had made a comment about stocks rallying, and he was kind of standoffish about that as a you know as part of their deal.
I
Like,
thought
so,
the
yeah,
I thought the other tool comment was the one
yeah,
that really got people with money scared. He said, "I
yeah,
got another tool to use." It's like, what do you mean? You're over here grinding away with an axe. What are you gonna break out? A chainsaw? Um, yeah. So I think
yeah.
I
So
think when he said that, it was just too wishy washy. It wasn't direct. It wasn't hawkish or dovish, as they like to say.
the way I played it, the on the option side, the standard logic is always that the first move isn't the real move, right? But it's
Yeah.
not quite that. It's not quite that simple, because like if you look at it, what happened was it spiked, and then it had that kind of initial drop, and then it came back up, and a lot of times when it's done that, it just melted up the whole rest of the day. I think maybe like two of the past four times, it's happened, and then it just completely cratered. So what I did was I felt like we get I could see a run up sort of happening in the intraday flow on QQQ and all that. So I did that, and those really small, but they went up like 100%, and scaled out. And then I was like, with the profits, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna drop $100 to the downside in case this just plummets, and it just went nuts. And you're just kind of like, okay, I'm done today. But yeah, so it's you just you just have to go small. I mean, I think people way overtrade those events, and there's just no reason to
Sure,
do that.
sure. So what's I mean, my magic right now is basically just playing stuff that's so beat down that any kind of sideways, even sideways action, they start coming up. They start coming off the bottom. Um,
Uh, yes, the space sector, Peloton.
weed, weed.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a restaurants. Restaurants are getting there. The
Mhm.
crappy
Oh yeah,
oil,
that's been
crappy
that's been
oil is
excellent.
real easy to
So
play.
on yeah, like rig SD.
Yeah,
Uh,
Sun
yeah.
W. Well, I guess that's
hmm
solar, but yeah. No, there's a ton of those are just they're laydowns on the share side. I mean, they're not you're not getting 80, 300%, but you're gonna get 10, 15, 25 sometimes right now. It's ridiculous out there.
Yeah, no, it is. And so like, and one thing I do that helps me is so eh, having a different, like, just having a couple different brokerage accounts and a different mindset
Okay,
in each one
okay,
helps a lot, because it's like you don't get the psychology of an overall P&L. I think can get to traders sometimes, where it's like, if they're a little red and on something, it's like, I got to make this back now, and it leads people into bad decisions. So for me, it's like, I'm scalping out of this one. This one I'm doing shares and the swings, like,
yeah,
and that just works
yeah.
for me. I think it's just kind of up to you and um,
The
your comfort level.
the
And
only
by the way, some of the apps and interfaces, like, if you need to do stuff quickly, some of them are not designed very well for that.
no,
Like, so
no.
you kind of get a feel for that too. If they have a kind of clunky website like Ally or even SoFi, it's you gotta have to make sure that's working for you too.
Yeah, and I would kind of caution that if you're struggling, you need to master one thing. Like
For
master
sure. Yeah.
master one thing first. If you feel like you're missing out because you're focusing on options and you're doing okay over there and you want to do shares, then I'm totally with what Professor's saying.
Yeah, yeah, and this kind of comes down to, and if anyone ever has a question about one, let me know. But some of the hot list stuff that we choose is is going to be a slow mover, and you don't just pick one and, like, I'm going to day trade options on this, because the contracts might not be right, and they don't move the way they should and whatever. So I think, like, on the option side, Pox Corner is really good for specifically dealing with
Right
how these
now
option contracts move.
and playing
Yeah,
right now, like if you want to trade right now, just follow Pac's page. Like if you're trying to
yeah,
trade this week,
yeah,
follow Professor's page. And if you're trying to trade this month, follow mine.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's the
exactly,
best way to
exactly.
look at it, I
Right,
guess.
and if we're all three on something, then
Yeah,
definitely pays for that.
use your style to trade that equity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so let's
Well, D
talk.
Dog's a perfect example. I
Yeah,
I did put weekly puts, and you're like, you waited for it to bottom out. I
yep.
get out, you get in, the shares go up. So
Yeah, I didn't get much out of that though. I got 74s on that, and it wouldn't get past 77. It would not break high a day. So I mean, I took just took my lunch money on it, but it
yeah,
was
yeah.
it's people don't understand that, like, you got to enter trades for one, just so you get comfortable with entering trades and then kind of not going exactly planned, so you know what to do. But like, if you don't lose and you entered the trade, that's a win because it's gonna give you not only comfort but familiarity with what you did. I just think that's people like wait for the perfect trade, and if it doesn't go wrong, they get all frustrated. Like most trades
Oh
don't.
yeah, oh yeah. Like if someone entered your D Dog trade and, like, it didn't hit their target, and they're like, well, I'm just going to average it down, and then you're stuck with the shares for who knows how long.
Yeah, I think
And you
it
got to
was
wait for it to get back up to your entry 3 weeks from now.
I think it was Piton on Tuesday, but I'm like, I get in mid sevens. I think it was like 760, and I'm like, all right, this is going to eight. Like you could just see it in the tape, and then after that, it ran to like 915. But I mean, I didn't stay in the trade that long. Don't ever think that. But trades usually aren't that easy where I can sit there and talk and tell you this is going to go another 40 cents or 30 cents, right? It's not normally that clean. Um, and I think a lot of people are looking for that kind of trade every single time, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm in, and then it just kind of climbs up, and you're
Yeah.
you're you're good. You're lucky if you just get above your entry, and it's consolidating there instead of at your entry or a little below your entry. I mean, that's just the I don't know. So that's what
Yeah.
I that's what I look for, and like you got to be trading things. You got to have a plan if they don't go your way. Be able to get in and out, not expect the top every time, and just slowly win. That Viper Fish story, um, that's a home run in my opinion. That guy went down to $6, and he took that all the way back to like 130. That's flipping ridiculous if you start adding zeros to that. I mean,
Yeah.
not only to take the time to actually trade in a smaller size and figure it out, but then to I mean, do the math on that. That's 10. That's like 30x
Yeah.
from. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think his biggest win percentage ever is like 29%. That's his biggest trade win. He has it on the sticky note on the
Right.
wall. 29%. It's the biggest trade he's ever cleared. So I don't know. Kind of ranting a little bit there. Let's talk some weekly peaks. I got a little ranty there.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, just real
Yeah,
quick,
yeah, yeah. No, go for it.
add on to that, like someone with like when 29% your biggest win, he also doesn't have an 80% loss.
No,
Like someone doing just like risky options positions could have. So yeah, there's definitely something to that.
no. Well,
Uh,
that's something we had to talk about. Was his stop losses on the way down? The first, because he started out at 100. They were just too tight. You put your stop loss at 3%, it's going to clear that real quick. Um,
yeah, yeah,
and he had to manage that a little bit better, and that kind of helped him out. But trusting your entry off of RTL, you know, ah, that's for another time. That's for another time.
yep. Oh yeah,
Spy.
so
Let's go to Spy.
Spy. Yeah.
Let's go to
All
Spy.
right, so real quick on this, one thing that you see with Spy, obviously this we're trending down still, um, but you end up seeing a lot of really frustrated people with a bearish bias, even in this environment. Because what will happen is, the Wall Street Journal comes out with an article that a pivot is possible. The market runs on that a bit, and they're just kind of frustrated, like this is BS. They're not going to pivot, and they were right. But the problem is that you get trapped in a puts that you enter at 370 and it goes up to 390, and then it checks back to what your entry was, and it bounces back off that, and then who knows what's going to happen this week. So you just I just would be I do think we are going to break down below 370 maybe on that CPI data, but don't enter puts there. I mean, either play them down to that or let it break and retest, and that's where we get the bigger downside. Unless you're in stuff that's out months from now, and then you can just weather all this. So this gets back to what we were talking about before the session on sort of knowing your plan. So the short expiration stuff, you can complain all you want about it being a fake pump or whatever, but you're better off on that side than you are, just being down on puts and waiting for it to come back to you.
I I noticed real clear this week for sure. 'Cause, I guess I'll say it's just this week. 'Cause I'm finally saying it. That the stuff that I watch mostly, the pennies, the poopy pennies, it's totally detached from Spy at the current time. It's just not even.
Yeah.
It's not even in the same ballpark, which it was last year, but just to the during this time, it was just to the other way. Like it was everything was the pennies were just dropping and Spy wasn't. Um, so for me, I kind of got to watch the larger caps, and it seems like they're melting away, which I think the chart's going to do as well. 370 is huge for me, just kind of like bigger picture. I do think we fight that um, at least for one more negative news catalyst. I think we got a few weeks here.
Yeah, and one thing to notice too with the indices is, so you have DIA, which has been very strong, and then look at, we talked about this last week. Look at, well, what's in that? Well, Apple's in that, which is a stronger, more resilient tech stock, but it also has things like Cat and Johnson and Johnson. So there's industrials names and just sort of like dividend aristocrat healthcare, and those big safe stocks. They're in that. Buy is like a middle ground, has a mix of all those things, and then but is still kind of tech heavy. But then QQQ is the worst performing one, and you can see why when you look at what's happening there. So I think that the bear market is going to start to chip away at some of those industrials that have been holding it up. Boeing and CAD and all those, they're a little overheated. So they're sort of just pullback paired with a further drawdown in tech is what probably will eventually break us below some of these recent lows.
Yeah, no, something I started looking into this weekend, and I didn't get the exact date on it, or exactly how the process is done, but SPY basically every quarter they rotate stocks in and out of it.
Yeah.
And I remember 3 years ago when Tesla was getting put into it, it ran so flipping hard going into it. Like on the news that it was going into it, because ETFs and stuff would start adding Tesla because they want SPY components or whatever. They just, something like that. But when these tech companies that have already taken a big fall get taken out of the S&P, I would assume they would fall a lot farther. That's just a general.
General. It's like you're getting sent to the minor leagues, right?
Yeah.
So and so some of that initial impression of that event does that, and then a misconception that people sometimes have is that you'll say, well, QQQ is really struggling. You're not going to see much recovery from Snow, Net, etc. And someone will be like, well, but they're not even in it, or they're barely in it. So what does it matter? It's not the percentage that they're in it. It's the whole money outlook on tech as a whole.
Sure.
Some stocks are going to be resilient and go up just, in spite of that. They'll be kind of more detached from it. And then some, if QQQ is down at 1.5%, they're not going to have a green day. It's just not going to happen. So getting a feel for that is important. And it's one of the reasons I keep coming back to Lemonade, because Lemonade does its own thing on its levels in spite of what's happening. Now it can get a good push if the market's just on fire. A 3% day becomes a 7% day, but it can have that 3% day on a red day. So our hot list is good for learning those kind of moves too.
Yeah, I love it. So let's play our weekly. What's SPY doing this week? I'll go first here because I always make you go first. That's kind of cheating. So I'll go first this time. I think we do have a volatile week because of the two aforementioned elections and CPI coming. But 370 is key. I think we do get a dip. Let's say 363. But I think we reject that 380, 382 real quick. Like it don't stay up there long. Kind of stay in this channel maybe for another week, like we've done the last 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what I got.
Yes. So I'm with you. I'm looking for, and I just kind of do it based on the strikes. I think there's definitely some potential to pump back up to like 385 or so. And I think we reject that pretty hard. And I would expect CPI to be bad. So early week, I think we'll get some pumps. Election day could have a huge range, so kind of just be careful of that. And then I do think that we're going to fall below 370 at some point this week. It's just a question of if we want to linger there
You
or
got a,
not.
you got a number?
Yeah, 365p for early December, getting
We're
a lot
we're
of
we're
activity.
really
So
we're really close this week. Yeah,
yeah,
it's stupid close.
yeah,
Usually you bracket me a little bit on the top and the bottom a little more, but this week we're pretty
yeah.
solid. We're almost in line there. Um, so politics. While you mentioned that, what do you see Tuesday is crazy, like Wild West Day, or
Yeah, I think the initial reaction could be like positive, like we get a decent run up. And I look for something like rum to run on just
sure,
hype. But
sure,
then I think the what happens after that depends on how many races are contested, and it doesn't matter if races are contested and the majorities are settled.
yeah,
But
no, that doesn't matter.
if that's up in the air, I don't think the market's going to like that.
Yeah, I
And
see
and
Monday. Go ahead.
the groundwork for election challenges, both sides have their pre-built narrative
Yeah,
about it, and just we're just in that environment where the old the old fashioned concession speech and
it's over.
result being settled just isn't going to happen in some of these races anymore.
They're already lawyered up for it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah.
That's how bad it is. Um, I'm just already on the thesis that Monday, Tuesdays are good, Thursday, Fridays are bad. The CPI is Thursday, I believe, and then
Yeah.
the UK GDP is Friday. Um, but the political stuff, just because it's Tuesday, like that's not going to wash out till Wednesday or Thursday, even if it's clean, right? It always takes a day or two to totally report
Um,
everything. So
yeah, and on elections, I mean, so just this is just an example. Like Brazil, everything that is sort of is bad or rough about our political system regarding corruption or anything is magnified down there. But the market actually, even though you would think like the leftist won and that's bad for business and whatever, um, once like the right wing guy Bolsonaro or whatever his name is, like when he didn't quite concede, but he also is not directly challenging it. That they ran the stocks recovered quickly and they ran hard on that.
yeah,
So getting a settled result, no matter what it is good for stocks.
is the
I think
best
that's
result for sure.
yeah,
Because whatever you're gonna have one side that are kind of dominant. Like let's just run it the Democratic side. Give them like solar and weed,
yeah,
maybe even crypto. Just throwing it out there, and give the other side like oil and banks, or whatever. I mean, you just one of those two are really going to flourish in either environment when you have clarity. That's what the market. I mean, that's really what the market wants is clarity. That doesn't like not knowing what's going to happen next week or what interest rates are going to be next quarter or stuff like that or what restrictions you're going to have in a certain sector. Um, and right now, those restrictions are all coming from supply chain. So, um,
yeah.
CPI, you see CPI uh, even coming to the table because of the elections? Do you see that as still?
Oh yeah. Right. I think especially when the data come right when it comes out, and then the first hour of market open, it will have a big impact. And if it exceeds by a tenth of a percent, the market will crater one, spy down 1.5% or something, and then from there, it's going to make a decision. It sometimes can just the data's out of the way,
Yeah,
and it'll bounce back quickly, or it could trend down another 1.5% or something before it reverses. And a lot of that has to do with where does it open? Like if it were to open below our 370 number, like if the data took it below that, it might come back up and test that, reject, and just drop hard. So I
Sure,
think
sure.
your plan to trade it is in part based on not just on like is it going to go up or down, but where is it when it makes that initial move.
Have
That's
it,
going to say a lot about where it goes.
if the stock market was a baseball game, Professor's in the front row and I'm in the bleachers because we just kind of look at things from a different perspective. And his is definitely minute by minute, which I like because it helps. It does help me because I don't look at it at that angle. But I kind of look at this week, P, is like these guys have been front loading numbers for a while, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
they can't do that this week, or they can. I'm not suspecting them to do that this week because if you're front loading numbers this week, you're doing it during the election. Like if you're front loading CPI numbers, if you think it's going
yes.
to be good, like you're going to be doing
Yeah.
that right in the middle of the election, and I just don't. I see that kind of being weird for the market this week.
Right. It's the more dominant event. It's the more rare event.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been through the CPI song and dance, for a while now. So yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's why I
I'm
asked
with
if it does it even matter. Like, does it even matter? Because I think
Yeah, I think
CPI.
it matters in the short term pop sense, but I don't. It's not gonna. It's not enough of a negative catalyst to just wipe us out to the 2008 comparison charts or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think in the best case scenario, we're smooth through election, right? We're smooth through
Right.
there by Thursday, and when that number comes out, it's not that bad, and we just continue to go, and we do get a leg up. We do kind of maybe for the rest of the month, kind of do what we did in August. I mean, that's
Yeah,
best
and I
case
mean if
scenario.
the bullish thesis on the um, the SaaS implosion is that okay, here's the funds finally capitulating that and the last of the overhyped growth stuff is going to bottom out below its June lows, and um, semiconductors held up and are pretty strong. So like they could lead tech a bit. Um, Apple do its thing. Tesla's kind of a little bit of a wild card to me. I think they have a lot of negative stuff going on. I don't think the Elon Twitter thing is good for Tesla.
You know when to buy Tesla, right?
Still think we're going to like 180.
You know when to buy Tesla, though. I mean, it's easy. You buy it when I do. I mean, it's real
Yeah,
simple. You don't get to buy
right.
it. You don't get to buy it often, but but when I buy it, that's when you buy
Yeah, no,
Tesla.
I posted that the other day. So like I only buy puts on it right now. Not to say like I'll just buy them whenever, but when it rips into an area where it has trouble,
Yeah,
get puts on it there. I stop doing that when Unc buys shares because that
exactly.
going the other way.
It's
So
he
yeah,
has
yeah.
they are after him so hard right now. Like it's we could see some lows on Tesla. We really could. Because they can go
Yeah,
after his self. They can go after the full self drive. Like that's just like a handshake agreement. Even letting him do that.
yeah,
Um,
right. Yeah, cancel culture or whatever comes out.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the people like my buddy has it. He has day one FSD. He's like gets it. Like the like he's testing it basically, and he paid 5K to do that. So if they like take that
yeah,
away, that's gonna be some sour mouse out there for sure.
yeah, oh, yeah.
But
So,
you said you want to do crypto. We
oh,
got a few more minutes. Let's talk a little bit there. I'm always interested in why you're looking at stuff like that, especially that
uh, you
flat
know,
thing.
because crypto's not completely just moving as a block right now. That you're seeing you're seeing traders and whales test out different altcoins, and they've been rotating through them. And so I have a list of ones that I follow, and so like Solana got a big pump. I think because of something with Google, they have some kind of, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think they had some news. But then I see like, it's like, okay, Cake is going today. The big names are pretty flat, but I see this happen where different coins break away from the group. It usually precedes a pretty decent bullish run in crypto overall. So that's not kind of what I'm watching out for. The same thing's happening in the option flow where some names are standing out, and I think we'll see some of the more obscure ones make a decent move ahead of the pack as we move forward.
Yeah, I've stopped watching. Like I had a list like 8 of them, but that last drop I just like let them go. I mean, I have the list still, but I don't really check them every couple days anymore. I do still follow Bitcoin, but it is like the flattest chart on the planet right now. It's just kind of stuck in purgatory. So obviously you're saying I need to get back on some charts.
Yeah, I think they're going to break out, and it precedes Bitcoin breaking out and going. I think once it clears like 22.5 and claims that, it's probably going to go to 25, which is still kind of the range, but would be a leg up for it to maybe do something further. And then
I don't know what I was doing like a week ago, but I thought to myself, I think I was just sitting on the toilet or something. But I thought to myself, I was like, in like 10 years, at the rate they're stealing these Bitcoins, some Nigerian guys are going to own all the Bitcoins because they just steal them. And then you can't, like, you know what I mean? Like at some point in time, they'll steal them all, right?
Right. Well, and then there's the ones that are locked in wallets that
exactly.
Yeah.
No, this is just the thought I had. Like, man, I mean, because they take a lot. You see the news story every other month or every couple months. A couple thousand coins here and there. They break into something and take. I don't know.
Yeah, right. And we're still at a point where a lot of exchanges are going to fail. I think, and how they get absorbed and what happens there is going to be interesting. And then like who's going to be left standing. I think Coin is one that will be. FTX probably, but yeah, a lot of the smaller ones will get absorbed.
I have the old white guy brokerage. We all know that. I trade with Fidelity, and they're gonna trade crypto commission free. They're adding it right now. Like I get the email every other day. So they're starting to be scared. Yeah, they're starting to be scared of losing market share. So they add it. Like you can't beat them, join them, type thing.
Yep. Yeah. Last topic's China.
Okay.
So this is another situation where there's a lot of people bearish on Chinese ADRs. If they caught this stuff, if they caught BABA $50 ago and they're bearish, that's great. I think it's like shorting it down here. You can short it short term, but the thesis that the ADRs are going to go to zero is very risky to me, because they're going to continue. The perception that they were going to reopen made those all go crazy on Friday.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the pattern. That's going to continue to happen. So they're, now they're saying they're going to stay locked down. So we probably pull back. But these will continue to run. So if you do trade them, having a plan for that, whether it's to play lottos late in the week or it's, wait for them to have just a horrible few days and then buy something months out or buy some shares, like, those are still going to be on the radar for us big time.
Did you, while we're on China, did you play LGHL?
I did just on, I don't know what's going to happen. Something's going to happen. So I'm either moon or zero. And I did buy a couple in the money calls on it. I did well.
That was the most awesomest chart in the whole world. I just waited for the first day for it to move, and then got a little bit, and then it moved the second day, and I took my dime and went home. But
yeah, that day chart is just like the goofiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, it'll be back at $2 sooner or later.
Parked, yeah, and like it's like, well, if they, either it's gonna fall off a cliff or they're gonna put it in drive and it's gone. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, well let's end this here and get to work.
Okay.